Welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And oh my gosh, I want my tea. Hold on. All right. I kind of want to do more videos on magic. I mean, in a really weird way, that's like my life purpose. And so, yes, I teach very informally the art of magic, mysticism, and shamanism. And I usually always have one apprentice. And I've had one apprentice uh, learning the things that I'm interested in ever since I left high school. And that was when I had my shaman awakening. And, you know, it's not there for everyone, you know, but before I was into shamanism, I was always into magic. So, growing up in a religious household, uh, I feel like that can kind of precondition you to think there's something going on outside your everyday experience. I mean, you're told you can go to hell, you're told you can go to heaven. You're told or you're taught and everyone's really into good and evil and other forces at play. So that can help you on your magical journey, but it can also hinder you. From the get go, I knew I didn't believe in religion. And I was adopted. So I think that was part of it. And also being from a foreign country, I think that was part of it. And just really feeling like an outsider, even in my own family, uh, made it possible not to be completely brainwashed into religious magical thinking. I like to call it like mythology, religious mythology. There is a quote. It says, uh, "Religion is when you believe in mythology," and I thought that was really interesting. Uh, but the reality, as I've gotten older and did more self reflection, I realized Christian mythology is the mythology that runs Western society and maybe even the whole planet in some way or another. Um, but what does this have to do with learning magic? And we go through different phases. And okay, so people think, oh, I want to learn magic. And like, they're taught simple spells, they're taught deities and sigils, they're taught a little astrology, a little tarot, a little bit about crystals. And it's the same stuff over and over and over again, and they're giving it different decorations of a different culture and claiming it as their heritage and their magic. So I'd say what you get is a little bit about, you get a little Western mystery tools, and then what you get for witchcraft is you get kind of voodoo. You get spices and, uh, pray to a deity and call it good. And so I don't really consider any of that magic. You can use it to help your magic, but I don't consider that the way of magic. So we find these like traditions and, lighting candles, uh, having a prayer to a different god or goddess, doing food offerings, give them a cigar, give them alcohol, sacrifice a chicken. I don't consider any of that real magic. I consider that, I call it tribal, uh, or even voodoo kind of And I don't even call that low magic. I call that, it could even be very human. It could be a very human way to kind of like work with forces and stuff. But in my mind, that's more like getting entities to do stuff for you. Uh, and that, and so the fact that you have to go to an entity is really you're asking for help. And they're, and the fact that you're trying to win favor. Oh, he likes this, she likes this. Um, means you're in a weakened position. Uh, so I consider that the very wrong way to go about becoming magical. Like being able to cast your own spells, to be able to change things into your favor. There is such thing as scientific method. There is, and what's really cool about science is it's more of a template. It's more of, it goes along with tests, it goes along with observations. Um, and really, so I feel like the heart of science, when I talk science, it's not religion either or mythology. It's, I'm going to look, I'm going to investigate, I'm going to take notes, I'm going to try to maybe test whatever it is I'm testing in different situations, not just the classic sterilized situation to prove something right or wrong. Um, but no, I'm going to test it under different conditions and see if there's results all across the board that match up, you know. And so it's really kind of about investigation, figuring things out, and more so than inventing, more so than proving. Like it's really like some people get really motivated. They're like, "Oh, I'm really into this. It really speaks to me and I need to prove this and show the world. And so now I'm going to use a scientific method and I'm going to prove something, you know." So we get these like really like intense. I call it, it's like that religious intensity. People can get religiously intense about working out or their diet, their belief system, their identity. And if they don't have any of that, it could be their career, it could be a social movement. I'm gonna save trees. My life is totally worthless, but trees' lives are awesome. And growing up, trees were everything for me. So, okay, I'm not saying don't do that, but just recognize your motives. Okay? Why do we come to magic? What's your motive? And so I think what's really cool when you really want to become, I would say, a wizard or next level witch, next level wizard, you start saying, what don't I need? What can I clear away from all this information that's been presented to me? A whole bunch of superstition. Like, I just visualize the world, the majority of people are derelicts. Um, Unslovenly, unkept, super just kind of emotional and kind of needy and gross. I imagine that was the majority of people on the planet, okay? And why do we like beautiful people? Why do we like supermodels? Why do we promote them? Because they're the minority. And so the majority are shady characters, okay? And who knows what they were eating? Who knows what their lifestyles were? Who knows what kind of ignorant perceptions and conversations were going on? And so, a lot, why do we not have a lot of real information on magic? It was never made for the masses. And now magic is out there for the masses. And so, like, Just like when I was going to church when I was little, I was like, Mom, I hate this. She's like, and all these people I don't like. And she's like, it's not the people, it's the religion. And then it's not your classmates at school. No, it's not everyone you work with, it's work. Now it's like it's not humans on the planet. It's yeah. So what I've really come to the conclusion of is no, the majority of people are gross, uh, weird, crazy, dysfunctional, and that's okay, right? Love and light, accept it all. But then when we look at information handed down through magical practices, what works? You might need to filter out a whole bunch of stuff or scrap the whole thing together. And then what most people use magic for, to win love, because they doubt themselves, you know, uh, to overpower a supposed enemy, uh, because of pride, ego, fear, jealousy, hatred, anger. Like, there's so many like dysfunctional people where most of the magic is obviously used for self gain, but it's immoral. It's incorrect. It's at the hands, the sacrifice is someone else. What you're willing to put into it. And so I would say most magic is drama driven, egocentric, and it's kind of like on a downward spiral. It's like gutter. It's like the gutter. So, in a weird way, it's not true magic. I would call it energy warfare, um, you know, passive aggressive warfare, basically. And it's fine if you want to live your life like that. My channel really isn't for that. I'm not really about that. We all have our own perspective, our own view on what magic is. And for me, it was something like I could have the power. I might be born with some magical ability. It's not sourced from a god, it's not sourced from a demon or an angel. The whole purpose of the craft wasn't to communicate with gods and angels. Uh, that all has very like Christian religious tones. And it seems like there's a whole bunch of stuff put out where you are born powerless and helpless. You're not special. You're not the chosen one. Well, maybe I am the chosen one. Maybe I have the power all along and I don't know it. Maybe there's more to life and reality than we know. And if this stuff is so complicated, we're probably going about it the wrong way. So I think so. What you get is a whole bunch of meditation and chakra work and visualization, um, to make up for the fact that there is no magical arts. It's all made up. It's basically fiction. And relying on we're relying on you to make it happen. Like, if you don't participate, magic isn't happening on your favor. So I think a lot of people use magic as religion and they think there's going to be a miracle. And if I just pray to mom and dad with some candles and a circle and some offerings, then I'll get what I want. This type of thinking is super childish and immature, when really magic is so much more. And I'm going to have to say, you can't really exactly define it, but it's a process of, you could say evolution, and I would even say spontaneous evolution. Like, you becoming the wizard, the witch, the being of power, uh, a transformation is going to go on, and a process is going on. And that process was going on ever since you got curious about magic. You can't stop the process. Like, you may have started with yoga and then found out there were mantras, then found out there were deities, then found out there was so much, there was a whole lifestyle to it. And, it could take you thousands of years to finally get good, to the level of expertise, your potential. So it kind of like can become very all consuming. You'll also find out that all these different paths and branches into spirituality, mysticism, and magic may not exactly resonate with you. And you might find the most simple, basic thing practical. And you would put that in your toolkit. And so, some of the most powerful things for me is going on a walk to the park. And at our park, we have like a river running through it, this little kind of man made river. Part of it is natural, but it's been kind of like engineered a little bit through the park. So I'd say it's like half natural because it is real a mountain runoff water uh, going through different canals and stuff, but also kind of real river. So it's very interesting. So it's a hybrid. Definitely a hybrid river. Um, but this continuous ritual of going on a walk, experiencing the grass, experiencing the trees, experiencing the sun, experiencing the seasons. And now I experience it with my roommate's pet that I take on a walk frequently for her mental well being. Uh, it's a new experience, but it's a time where I can let go of the world, enter a spiritual or magical state of consciousness, and I can be one with myself. I can be one with the universe. I can open up and listen to my intuition. Um, get those ions for health and well being. And so, in your everyday life, you're doing, uh, there's cycles, there's patterns, there's rituals uh, that are going on. And you can do this in a very organic way. And it's just living with your environment, uh, living in your, I had to accept, like this week, I'm going, okay, you're having a human experience. You have a human body. You have to accept this now. You have to accept the state that you're living in, the environment. Accept this. I've been kicking and screaming my whole life. I'm like, I'm not accepting this. you know? And so the more you accept the reality of the situation you're in, then the door opens up for your liberation. Was that not magical to just learn to accept? I mean, maybe the gods have been trying forever to get you to change your mind, but it wasn't happening until you changed your mind. That was that took that was a greater achievement than like moving planets, okay? So there's a lot of things, practical things about just being you and experiencing you that are highly magical. You know, I mean, you've changed the trajectory. You've changed the whole algorithm of you just because you now choose to accept a few things about yourself that you couldn't. That's going to change your energy. It's going to change your mood. It's going to change your outlook. It's going to change your emotions. And all that change is going to attract different situations. So the law of attraction was at play. So I'm not even saying magic is the law of attraction. I'm not saying it's psychology. I'm not saying it's science. I'm not saying it's religion. I think I reserve magic for its own thing. And maybe we can utilize some magic. Maybe we can utilize some of it, probably a very shallow end of it, within these other things. The only thing people were getting out of religion was magic. The only thing we get out of science and technology maybe is magic and what we get out of life. So life and magic are intertwined. And maybe it's on a sliding scale, and on one side life and on the other side magic. But there's interplay and there's definitely exchanges and they coexist and maybe can't fully exist without each other. Kind of like a fish and water, fish in the ocean. The very fact that it's a fish in the, like, it's a symbiotic relationship between magic and life. Okay? Magic and you. And so when we start seeing magic maybe as a symbiotic entity of cosmic proportions within the universe, we might get a better sense of what it really is, what it is that magnetizes and draws it in, what aligns us to it. And so you start thinking like this, and you're now starting to think like a wizard. Okay, you're now really starting to think like someone who studies and practices the art of magic and utilizes it. So that's what I'm saying. And so let's kind of get back to center on all of this. So I was thinking of my video with like the warlock, what is a warlock, and the little ritual, just basically draw an X and then put a piece of obsidian on one side and a piece of garnet on the other side and self-initiate and give yourself the title of warlock. And that sounds so common and so simplified and so, but then I started really looking at it. I'm like, why did I choose an X? Why was that it? I'm like, well, that's the crossroads, bro. And so if there was ever going to be any magic, it has to be here now. Being here now is the center of the crossroad. So you are the key holder. And so when we look at mysticism and meditation, a lot of meditation is learning to be here now. And the more present you are, the more aligned you are in your posture, in your breathing, and the more acceptance you have of this very present moment, it's like the past and the future dissolve and you're just presently here. And so this is really important because it starts balancing everything out in your life, learning to be present. And it naturally starts to cut cords. It naturally protects. It naturally attracts and repels. So the foundation of magical training is learning to be present here and now. And or at least getting a benefit out of it. There's some positive things that happen because you're practicing being here now. you suddenly, it's like your brain turns on. It's like the lights come back on. Uh, it's like all of a sudden you find this excitement for life because anything could happen. Uh, so there's a sense of wonder comes back. And so I would say, so I was explaining in a comment on someone else's video, about loneliness. And for me, some of my darkest feelings and being alone have opened doorways, shamanic doorways into other dimensions. Like, how magical is that? Um, but the wizard also looks at it as a formula. He's like, what opened that part of my mind to have this cosmic vision? What put me on these? Okay, so yeah, kind of complicated, kind of grand. But of course, we're all going to want these things to have visitations with gods, angels, and higher beings, or other beings, part of high magic. Uh, and I'm sharing what it was for me. One, I was outcast, by society and a self outcast. I didn't want to be in society. So that puts you in the loner's box. Whether you're rejected, whether you had a stigma placed upon you, the story doesn't matter. You end up in this boat over here called, like, so now what? And it probably, it's not that stimulating. It's like, whoa, kind of depressing here, watching all the villagers have fun, and they're so interested, they're so entertained. And then you just relax, find your center, be present. So a mage, a wizard, a mystic, we cross this bridge, whether, we cross the realm of shadows, we move to another dimension, we bring information back. The artist does this naturally. So I'd say the artist and their process is something you really want to look at, more so than the excuse of the Roman Catholic Church and the maths and the ritual is the way to really start to understand. Look at the artist. They're going to give you a lot more information on how to do magic, because art is magic. Anyways, so let's get back to the point. This bridge, this crossing the worlds, this bringing the two worlds together, you know, uh, by definition, a shaman, a wizard, a witch, and a mystic have to be able to now cross this boundary. They have to cross the crossroads. They have to go where two worlds intersect. Okay? Uh, you can do it through something severe, like be crucified, hang on the world tree, scry the runes, or you could do something a lot simpler. Sit still, be present. When you find the center of you, you found the center of the crossroads. But this also becomes your world, like your earthly, three-dimensional side of the bridge. Loneliness, being isolated, being quiet, being still is the other side of the bridge, the quantum level. So being here now is the micro dot. And then when the now expands into infinite possibilities, or whatever, the quantum field, that's the macro. That's the other world. If you can't meditate, be quiet. Silence is key. It's the greatest key. Silence is actually toning down all your five senses. That's what it that's what it is. Stillness and silence go together. If you learn to be still or even practice being still, everything starts to silence and calm. So you have these tools now to build the bridge, or to at least understand that you're on this bridge. So when you're thinking and doing and being physical, You're in the physical world when your senses are on overdrive. And then you want to get to the bridge of magic, or you want to get to the crossroads, become present. You can walk and breathe and become present, turn everything inward, become self reflective, feel your physical body. Those are all great ways to build one half of the bridge. There's a point where you want to just let go and relax and be. So you went from very rational, concrete and orderly to now abstract, softened, open, receptive. You're here now. Your energy's here because you had to gather your energy. The witch's cone. You did that through being present. And whatever technique you used. So receptivity is the last thing. So we did all that active stuff, breathing, walking, whatever it was, sitting, paying attention, concentrating. You want equal of the equation, the opposite. Relaxed, open, receptive, receiving. And then you receive and you create a circuit. So the bridge becomes a circuit. Both worlds interlock, and now they're creating together. They're in harmony and balance. And you feel your inner divinity. Your crown is back on. You're ready to go. Your mind is cleared and reorganized. Oh, there I am. And this is where you need to get. You might have a healing breath, a sigh of relief. The pressure is off of you. And now you're really thinking clear and feeling clear and as healthy as you can ever be with the conditions that you have that help. Now you're in a position to do magic. Now the circuit is connected, you're integrated, you're connected, you're co-creating. Now you're in a position to see and work magic. You've made it to the gates. The gates are open. And if a vision is there for you, it's there for you. And if an energy flow is there for you, it's there for you. And then you can flow that energy out as directed. You are a channel of cosmic energy and forces. You've crossed the worlds by going vertical instead of living horizontally. Know when you're being horizontal 3D, know when you're being vertical. The wizards are vertical. That's why it's a staff, if you don't know. And the hat is pointed up.